Tinubu and APC tells Tribunal and admits Hushpuppi can be the president in Nigeria due to this reason. Breaking news. Hello, people. Welcome back once again to my YouTube channel. We just got the reply of APC and Bola Tinubu to Peter Obi's written address and response to them. It is very, very shocking that APC, as a matter of fact, had to make a whole lot of strong comments concerning all the evidences that have been brought against Bola Tinubu. His 460,000 conviction in the United States of America has continued, as a matter of fact, to cause a whole lot of problems for him, because Peter Obi and Atiku Abubakar in the Election Petition Tribunal submitted a whole lot of evidences that will actually indict and remove and disqualify Tinubu from ever vying for any presidential position within this particular country. I know Peter Obi's lawyer, if you've been following this particular channel, I've been explaining to you how Peter Obi's lawyer, as a matter of fact, has been explaining explicitly that it was a fine because of his dishonesty. We agreed that Tinubu was not convicted, neither was he actually in the sentence, but he was fined. And according to the Constitution of Nigeria, if you are fined by any competent court of jurisdiction, you are not qualified, as a matter of fact, to vie for any position within this particular country, especially the presidential position. But as a shocker to us, in APC and Bola Tinubu's response to Peter Obi's written address, their reply to Peter Obi's written address response and all that, they confirmed, as a matter of fact, I will show you everything they said. They confirmed, as a matter of fact, that even if it's Hushpuppi or any other person that has been convicted, that the person can come back to Nigeria and become the president of this particular country, just like Tinubu. They even admitted that even if Tinubu actually was found wanting in the drug trafficking and everything, that it doesn't matter, that everybody that was convicted in the US should come. I will prove to you and I will show you all the things they wrote in their final reply to Peter Obi's written address. It is so shocking that APC and Bola Tinubu wants to push this country into doom just because of their quest for power. Well, before we dive into this particular matter, if this is your first time of visiting this particular channel, don't hesitate, as a matter of fact, to click on the notification button so I get notified whenever I drop a new and important video, and equally subscribe to this particular YouTube channel. Now, let's head straight to the point, without further ado. Let's go straight to the point. I told you, Peter, APC and Bola Tinubu, submitted their final reply to Peter Obi's written address last week Friday, and it was today that we got hold of the documents. And while going through the documents, I will show you their defense. It's very, very funny that what APC is trying to do in this country. They want to turn this country into a lawless nation. Now, let me read a paragraph where in their written address, where they are indirectly or directly saying that Hushpuppi and all those people that have been convicted for fraud and that have done everything in the United States of America can come back and become the president or become even the governor, anything they want to become in Nigeria, because Nigeria is a dumping ground for all corrupt people. Now, let me read the paragraph. As you can see, 2.1 in APC's reply to Peter Obi's final written address, they said, "It is worthy of note that the wording of Section 137D of the Constitution, which in the last 3 lines says, by any court or tribunal or substituted by a competent authority or any other sentence imposed on him by such a court or tribunal." They said it is ought to be given that this particular part of the Constitution is ought to be given their literary meaning. They now referenced a particular case between Adisa versus Onyewola 2000, and they said as such that the word court or tribunal, competent authority, and for any other sentence imposed on him by such a court or tribunal should be read with reference to Section 1 and 6 of the Constitution, which by a combined reading. So they said they are claiming that which by a combined reading limits courts and competent authority to such courts or competent authorities created by the Constitution. In other words, apart from the point that there must be a conviction, they said conviction or fine, if any, must be by a court. You people should listen. Look at the point where APC is driving at. That if, in other words, apart from the point that there must be a conviction, they said conviction or fine, if any, must be by a court or tribunal or competent authority as per the Constitution and not the U.S. District Court as argued by the petitioners at paragraph 4.5 of their written address. Now, let me explain in a layman's language what APC is trying to do here. They are trying to say that since it is not a Nigerian court that gave the judgment that convicted and indicted Bola Tinubu about his 460,000 forfeiture, $450,000 forfeiture for money laundering and drug trafficking proceeds and all that. That since it is not a court in Nigeria that gave that judgment, that the tribunal should throw the case away.
that the tribunal, as a matter of fact, should throw the case away. That the only case the tribunal should regard is only the case that is being judged by the courts in Nigeria. But they fail to understand something, that the constitution of this particular Federal Republic of Nigeria, this section 137 1D, which they actually reference to, as a matter of fact, said that by any competent court of jurisdiction, it did not even limit it to Nigeria. APC is trying to requote the constitution, trying to say that it limits it to Nigeria. That means they are trying to say, as a matter of fact, that even if, as Hushpuppi has been convicted and Woodbury and all that, as a matter of fact, they can easily come back to Nigeria and vie for the presidential position, that it does not consign them, or it doesn't have anything to do with them, since their conviction was not done in Nigeria. You could see the manner at which APC wants to destroy the constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, which is so terrible and which is so bad. Now, in a bid to further, justify the rascality they are trying to defend, they said something. They made a reference. They said, as such, it is a complete misconception of the law on the part of the petitioners to submit, as they have at paragraph 4.25 to 4.3, relying on MV Dallas and Ocean Steamship Limited. They were referencing to a case P2B's lawyers mentioned. And they said, with all respect to the petitioners, the issue of admissibility has been treated in a separate document. The respondent's objection to the admissibility of documents, the point being made is that admissibility of a document is completely different from the weight to be attached to the said document. They now refer to something, but they said something in the last paragraph. They said, we submit that the judgment to have been registered in line with Section 3 of the Reciprocal Enforcement of Foreign Judgments Ordinance and Foreign Judgments, which is Reciprocal Enforcement Act. And they said something, that the Reciprocal Enforcement of Judgment Act 1922 does not apply as the United States of America, where that particular court judgment, which is Exhibit PA5 emanated, is not one of the territories covered by the Act. Now, what APC is trying to say, that since that particular court judgment in the United States was not registered in Nigeria according to a particular act, which is this Reciprocal Enforcement Act. And in 1922, when this act was made, the United States, as a matter of fact, was not part of was not countries that this particular act was meant for or included. That means they are trying to say that since this particular act does not encapsulate this it does not encapsulate US. That means all the judgments given to Nigerians in the US is more or less useless. That any judgment or any person convicted in the US as a Nigerian can come back to Nigeria and vie for the presidential position or any position. You could see how these people want to bastardize the constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Well, I would like you guys to drop your comment, because I believe that the Election Petition Tribunal judges should know what to do. They cannot, bastardize and reduce Nigeria to a dumping ground where criminals will come back to become the president of this particular country.